One of the competencies that I'm excited about is racially just.
Racially just.
Racially just.
Racially just.
Racially just.
Racially just.
Racially just and the promoting equity comes up when you're dealing with a lot with communities of color, because so much of this is about rebuilding burned bridges that had nothing to do with maybe some of us, has nothing to do with me, but has been established through past precedent and practices.
I think where we're going as an organization, I think where communities have asked us to go as an institution, I think what we can't ignore, which we've had for decades, if not longer, is data that tells us that there's differential outcomes in our communities, and largely and predictably, those are connected to race.
Racism and exclusion are designed by systems and policies. So racially just means your ability to know about that history, know its current impact on our communities, our marginalized communities, many of whom are the communities we serve most closely, and to have open, transparent, and frank conversations about that reality, as well as a very clear and discerning eye about creating policies that will continue to create harm versus policies that will create good.
It's a conversation that I think we should have been having all along, but having it as a core competency forces us to have the conversation every year. And I think that's a big part of the work that we're trying to do in the county.
It kind of ties in with the equity one as well, in making sure that there's equal opportunities for persons of color to not feel like they need to work twice as hard as everybody else to get to the same place, to be seen, to have systems in place that allow them to be successful.
If I could rate them all just on my own subjective world, and people don't have to agree with me on that, racially just is always going to be on top.
Racially just is the work of anti-racism because it really looks at targeted universalism, and that we are all at different places, we have different resources, we have different lived experience, privilege, and access. The county has been good at diversity, but horrible at inclusion, and this is our time to do better at inclusion. And when a voice is included that I don't understand what they're saying, or it's new information for me, then how do we pause and make sure that that just doesn't get discounted? So what I see when a woman's voice or a person of color's voice or a newer employee's voice comes to the table, that they get dismissed or they don't even talk. And so how do we shift that?
The question is a powerful one, right? How do you build trust in communities that have been let down by government for so long? How do you build trust with employees who feel like they've seen this before? How do you build trust amongst institutions that haven't worked together very well? And I think that's ongoing work.
Having competencies like racially just and promoting equity, where we're showing that we care about people's unique identities, I think that's the starter. The more we actually promote these, the more we talk about it, the more that we create space that shows employees that Multnomah County is serious about people being themselves. I think that opens up the doors, the opportunities for them to feel comfortable doing that.
As a team, we decided to show a documentary filmed here in Portland a few years ago called Lift Every Voice. I thought it was really well received. I had, both from the management side and from the viewer side, a lot of people afterwards say, "Hey, thanks a lot. I wasn't aware of this. This was a great process." So
one of the big things for me would be the way we're treating one another. And also getting to a place where we talk about safety, trust, and belonging, but employees actually getting to be their authentic selves at work, not having to turn on and off their identity, their ethnicity, but every day coming to work and just being themselves.
At the end of the day, as a person of color, I get to go home. I don't get to say, "Hey, that was enough blackness for the day. I'm going to put it aside and go about the rest of my day," that I don't have to think about it. In every facet of my life, it's affected by being a person of color.
Today I spoke with a colleague, and when they looked at the racially just symbol, they had this sense of relief. They were like, finally, my voice is being heard, I'm appreciated, and I have the feel for safety, trust, and belonging.